What's up, cool kids, and welcome back to the Langston Frazier Show. I'm so glad you're here with me, and I'm so glad you were able to enjoy the first episode of the Langston Frazier Show, and you gave me some great feedback, and you really enjoyed it. We're back this week with the second episode of the Langston Frazier Show, and, like I said last week, we're starting off with guests, really interesting and thought-provoking guests that are here, and I'm going to share their experiences. And this week, we have none other than the professor of golf himself. Dr. Chris Prosser is a PGA professional and a professor at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore in the PGA Golf Management Program. He's going to share his thoughts on the world of tourism, how it affects you, and just some other cool fun facts about tourism, about the Eastern Shore of Maryland, some places that he traveled, his experiences, and so much more. Let's dive in. So, Chris, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're my first guest here on the show. For anybody who doesn't know, this is Chris Prosser, the professor of golf. I'm going to let Chris introduce himself and tell the listeners a little bit about himself.
Well, thank you, Langston. I'm very privileged to be your first guest on the Langston Frazier show. And just to give you guys a little background about what I do, I teach at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore in the Golf Management Program, and I help aspiring golf professionals meet their career goals of entering in the golf industry. And by doing that, I help them secure internships and, jobs after they graduate. In addition to that, I coach youth golf on the Eastern Shore of Delaware and have been doing that for 5 years. And I just am finishing my 11th year teaching at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and so that's a little bit about my background.
Chris, thanks for all that great information. Let's dive right in here. So one of the conversations that we talked about late last week that you want to discuss about this week was tourism and how that affects the golf industry. So how does that affect the everyday golf person and just people outside of the golf industry? How does it affect them in their everyday lives?
Well, tourism is a big part of what we do on the Eastern Shore, and so anytime you come to either Maryland or Delaware's beaches, and you want to golf, you're coming to a great place with 60 plus golf courses here, world-class resort atmosphere. You have wonderful hotels. You have wonderful, what we call the culinary coast. We have James Beard award-winning chefs. We have, anywhere from, top of the line crab, steak restaurants to kind of your mom and pop Eastern Shore crab house, and anything kind of in between. So it's really an exciting place to be. And if you have not traveled to the shore, I would welcome you to try out not only our restaurants but our fabulous golf courses.
So would you say that really impacts the region, just not as the Maryland region, but the tourism industry on the Eastern Shore, including Delaware and Maryland?
Yes. We're agricultural primarily, but tourism is a heavy economic impact. Tourism has a heavy impact on the shore.
So I guess it really just drives what people come to vacation here for, because I know, and I've been around it, it's a really popular vacation spot. I love the vacation there when I get the chance to. Ocean City is not too far away from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. It's just about 45 minutes outside of the university. Great town to listen to. great music, great nightlife, great bars and golf, as you said earlier. But one of the things I'm curious about, just not for the young golf professional that's getting into the industry, but just young professionals, what's something that can set them apart and can inspire them to get into a career that's not, so 9 to 5 ish? Something like being a golf professional. It's not your typical 9 to 5 job. What would you, some advice you would give them to kind of achieve their dreams and go for something that's something different and out of the norm?
Yeah, if you have a passion for serving other people, the tourism industry is for you. You can serve, um, restaurants. You can serve at a hotel. You can work at a golf course. You can work in uh, airlines. You can work for travel agencies. And these are all places that help people recreate, have fun. um they really have these people need to have a warm, welcoming personality. But there's so much opportunity for you if that's kind of your passion. And so I would welcome people to come to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. We have a wonderful hospitality program, and we train aspiring professionals to work in hospitality and tourism areas, not only here on the Eastern Shore in Ocean City, Maryland, but the Delaware beaches as well, if not, worldwide.
And you say worldwide. One of the things that I know about you and your family is you guys love to travel. So, what are some of the cool travel experiences that you guys has experienced over the last couple of years, and places that you've been, and some of the activities that you guys have done?
Okay. Well, this past season we went to Jamaica, and we stayed at a really nice resort, the Half Moon Resort, and we got to play the fabulous Half Moon Golf Resort there on property. And I would highly recommend anybody that wants to go to Jamaica to at least visit the restaurants on property, um, play golf. And in addition to that, one of my favorite traveling spots is honestly going to North Carolina. Um, they have so many wonderful golf courses. If you're passionate about playing golf, you can't miss going to Pinehurst. There's about 30 golf courses just within the city of Pinehurst and just outside, and all of them are worthwhile. And they even have a famous hotel, the Pinecrest Inn, that has a wonderful restaurant that I would recommend as well.
Very cool. So one of the things that I guess my listeners are really curious to know, you played a lot of golf and you've done a lot of travel, as we said just recently. But what's your favorite golf course to play?
My favorite golf course, again, this is in the Pinehurst area, but is Tobacco Road. It's in Sanford, North Carolina. Tobacco Road. It's a Michael Strands golf course, and if you want to think of a desert style golf course built in the sand hills of North Carolina, that would be something that you're kind of looking at. So instead of sand pits that would be in the desert, these would be sand pits built from quarries, rock quarries. And it's a very target oriented golf course. Every hole is super unique, very challenging, and at the end of the day, you just have a blast when you head to Tobacco Road.
Interesting. That's I've heard a lot about that golf course, and hopefully one of these days I'll be able to get out there and play it. And I hear it's a really interesting one. So one of the next things that our viewers and our listeners want to know is, what's your favorite go-to food?
My favorite go-to food, I love salmon, and I actually live at a golf course, and I live at the Peninsula in Millsboro, Delaware, and our golf course has a wonderful restaurant. And my go-to there is the salmon with bok choy as a side.
Nice, nice. So transferring away from food just a little bit, when we go back to travel, there's so many different ways you can get to your dream destination, like Pinehurst, Tobacco Road, even coming right up the street to Delaware. What's your favorite form of travel? Is it plane? Is it a train? Is it just walking? What's your favorite form of travel?
Um, I think I enjoy all methods of travel. If I'm heading into New York City, I love going, driving my car into Wilmington, parking at the train station, picking up the train, the Amtrak there, and heading into Penn Station in New York City. If I have to travel, over 4 or 5 hours, then I'm gonna hop on a plane and get to my destination as fast as I can. But I put a lot of miles on my car, and my boys play hockey, so I enjoy the old road trip in my truck as well.
Very, very cool. So, what I have just a few more things to ask you real quick. So, if you had to pick that dream destination that you haven't been to, all expenses paid with your family, you take your friends out, what's the one place you're going to?
Well, we had a student that was from St. Lucia, and the way he described the St. Lucian Island and the resorts there, and the golf courses, and the culinary aspect, and the relaxation, I would definitely say that my dream vacation would be in St. Lucia.
That's that's the coolest spot. It's real coastal. I know the food there is really great. You see all the great travel shows on it, and it's something that I think a lot of people kind of underestimate when they hear about it. They're like, "Oh, St. Lucia, maybe next year, maybe 1 year," but I think that's a place I want to visit too as well. So, real quickly before we wrap up here, what's one thing that you wish you knew now that you would have known 20 years ago getting into the golf industry and getting into the hospitality tourism industry?
I wish I would have understood what networking really meant, and what it really can do for you. I when I first got into the golf industry, I kind of pigeonholed myself into working one state, one city, where I grew up, and had I looked at the opportunities that were afforded to me as a college student, to work out west, to go overseas and work in Ireland and Scotland, I just think that my network would have expanded immensely. And so I encourage you know freshmen in college all the way to seniors, if you're just getting into your industry, no matter if it's golf management, hospitality, business, education, travel somewhere that is out of your comfort zone, and learn to work with your managers, with your leaders, you know do what they ask, become their right hand, person, so that they can depend on you. And at the end of the day, when you need it, they will be there to help support you and reach your career goals. And so, looking back on it 20 years ago, as a freshman in college, I would have taken the opportunity and traveled overseas, to work at some of the top golf resorts in Europe.
I couldn't agree more. I really tell our students here at the university and just young professionals that I meet all the time, networking is one of the crucial things that you need in your tool bag, especially your soft skills. So one of the things that I tell them is make sure your social networking sites are clean. If you have a LinkedIn, Make sure it's professional. If you don't have one, make one. Know how to write a resume, know how to write an email, and just be have great people skills. I think that's important for anybody, whatever business you're into. I think that's really important. So the last question I have for you to close out this section of the Langston Fraser Show is, what's the most unique job you've had, and why was it so unique?
When I was in college, and I would oftentimes travel back home over holiday breaks, and typically I would land myself a job working at the Mall of America. But one of the most unique jobs I held while I was on winter break or winter vacation was working for Honey Baked Ham. And I would go in, I would help build sandwiches, make sandwiches, sell hams, and at the end of the day, I was one of the leading we'll say temporary workers. So that was one of the most unique jobs I worked, was for Honey Baked Ham.
That's pretty cool. I guess it definitely came in handy, especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas time, especially over winter break, like you said. I guess that's super important because everybody loves a honey baked ham. Well, Chris, thank you for joining me for the second episode and being my first guest on the Langston Fraser Show. I really, really appreciate it. Once again, guys, it's Dr. Chris Prosser, the professor of golf himself. Thanks for joining me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me, Langston.
Well, what about that? What a great episode with none other than Chris Prosser himself. He's super funny, a great guy to be around, an incredible mentor to a lot of students and young professionals. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, and don't forget to share, and connect with me on social media using the hashtag TLFSPod, and let me know what you thought of this week's episode, and let me know also what topics you want me to cover next, and also what guests you want to hear from. If you want to connect with Chris on Twitter, you can find him at CJ Prosser PGA, and also connect with me on Twitter. I'm at Langston Fraser. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you're looking forward to next week's episode 3 right here on the Langston Fraser Show.